do you ever get used to the fame, or is that something that just it just hits you every time?
Oh no, man, I kind of forget about it. Like, I go home and I'm like, sweet, and like I hang out with my friends and we do dorky things and watch stupid movies and like, you know, talk about stupid shit, and I forget, you know. But then when I go on tour, I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah, people actually know us. And know
like, I completely forget. I'm just like, yo, cool, man. Like, I come back, and then I'm like, oh, shit. It's like, gotta remember.
You're like, oh, yeah, I'm famous. What's the craziest reaction you've had with a fan? Does anything stand out in your mind, or something a fan has done or said?
You know, we get a lot of great letters and keepsakes from kids. I think one of the coolest things, too, was... we just played New Orleans, and I'm not only saying this because it's the most recent, but we were playing New Orleans, and we've never really been there before. So we didn't have a lot of time to look around or anything. I was sick the whole time, so I didn't get to do anything. These guys maybe had like an hour tops to like go look around, and a kid came to the show and brought like a big photo album of like a tour of New Orleans and different things that we hadn't seen, or like, oh, this is a great place to go, or this, and it was just, it's so thoughtful and so nice that these kids take their time to really give us things so important, like letters about how songs make them feel, or different things that they went through in their lives that maybe something that we did help them through, and all those things are just really near and dear to us. So
when you're writing the songs on this album, did you feel a pressure to appeal to those fans who look to you for guidance, or is that something you kind of push back and write what comes to your mind?
I think that on the past two records, Gerard wrote a lot of things that were full of angst, and when we played them, we would get all this negative energy out. It was almost like, this healing, this cathartic spurt of like 2.5 minutes, set to music. And in between songs, we would talk about, the real message of the band, is, about keeping yourself alive and get all the negative out now so that you can go out there and live a great life, And on this record, I think we started to say more positive things in the actual music, and I think that feels really cool. This is the first time that we really thought about that going in, or especially Gerard thought about that going in, and but you have to write for yourself, and then think about you do have a responsibility to your fans and the people that listen to you. So Gerard has a very the way he thinks and the fine line he walks on, between being creative and being responsible, I think it's this double life that he does really well.
Yeah, as long as you're in it for the right reasons and you're completely telling the truth, and you're gonna have something to say, no matter what it is, you're gonna have something to say. So I think what we have to say reaches those kids.
Now, you mentioned earlier you worked with Rob Cavallo, who's worked with people like Green Day, Alanis Morissette. What was that experience like? I mean, a huge producer in his own right. What was that like, working with him?
He was awesome. We first met him in New York. He came to our the studio we were writing in, and he was awesome. He came and checked out a couple songs, and like by the second song, he was like on his feet, like dancing and cheering and just smiling. And I think right then we knew that he was the guy we wanted to work with. But we had dinner with him later, and just the things, like the way he would talk about music was, it was just like right up our alley. It's exactly the way we talked about music. And later we found out the reason why he got into music, and when he was younger, and it was just like a really like touching story, and like the guy's for real. He loves music. He's not in it to make money, and that's so refreshing to see nowadays.
Yeah, it's like, it was one of those things where the guy would, like, no matter what thing you wanted to try, he was like, well, try it. Like, if you wanted to, like, stand on your head and play a guitar part, he'd be like, it's not a stupid idea, let's do it, and, let's see what happens. Absolutely every idea that anyone had, he was like, we're going to try it.
It's amazing. I think it's really funny that it takes to come to Canada for them to be like, oh, you work with such a great artist, Green Day, Alanis Morissette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nobody ever says that.
But when you come here, they're like, hey.
She's a big deal up here. Come on, man. Ottawa native.
I used to watch, what do you call? You don't know what? Can't do that on television.
Can't do that on television. where they say, what is it? When does the slime? I heard that. No, was that it?
No, I think it was I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know, and then the green stuff.
Yeah, and then water. Water came down.
So let's talk a little bit about the name of the album, The Black Parade. Can you explain a little bit about that? The alter ego of the band. What does all that mean? Can you explain a little bit?
Okay. Oh yeah. Frank's going to blow his nose. Well, the title of the record kind of works in a bunch of ways. One of the coolest ways that it works is there's kind of like this marriage between. Gerard did a lot of research and kind of found that, funeral processions are very linked with parades. One of the things with like funeral processions and things like that is that constant like marching snare drum, like military funerals and things like that. And that was kind of like the first start of talking about the Black Parade as the title of the record. It's kind of like a dichotomy between like dark and like celebration, and that's really what we wanted the record to be, is kind of examine life and death and the worst, and then life and celebration of life. And then it also works as like the alter ego of the band. When we were writing, each member kind of went through their own thing that they had to get past, and kind of evolved in a sense and transformed, and coming up with the idea of an alter ego is kind of a representation of what the band was before and what it went through to become what it is now. And so that's kind of the idea behind it.
They have Liza Minnelli on track 8. So unique, such a unique collaboration. Whose idea was that?
Funniest story in the world.
It is. It started out as this pipe dream kind of joke thing. Like the characters had to be played by a woman. Jar tried to do it like in a feminine voice. Kind of worked, but I think we knew it could have been better or more authentic. And Rob asked him in the studio, was like, is it a placeholder, or is that what's gonna happen? And Jar was like, I think it should be a girl, and it should be somebody like Liza Minnelli. And Rob was like Liza Minnelli, or actually Liza Minnelli? And we were like, oh, it has to be Liza Minnelli. And he was like, that phone came up.
Yeah.
And
the Liza Minnelli phone.
Yeah, it's like a direct line.
And stuff. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, Gerard did a good job though with the girl voice before Liza came in, and cleaned up for him.
She was amazing. But what's also very important about that track is there's also guest appearances by Mr. and Mrs. Way and Mrs. Zairo.
They make their recording debut.
Yeah, duets with Liza Minnelli.
Wow.
Just saying, Mrs. Zairo has strong competition to Liza Minnelli. She had that Broadway.
Shit, like that. Like anything she sang came out like that for some reason. I don't know why.
It was like that was probably one of the most fun experiences actually. Like is hanging out and watching the parents just go for it. Mr. Way, completely out of key, off time, but it was great.
He was rapping. Like he would go real long, like carry out one note and then shove in a paragraph in 2 seconds, and it was crazy. And it was yelling it. It was.
Someday we'll release those those single tracks of just the parents, because it's going to be pretty funny to hear.
So it was a family affair, I take it. You guys had a good time recording this album.
Yeah, it was amazing. Seriously, this is the most fun I have ever had doing anything, I think.
Do you think this is the album you're going to be remembered for?
If we are, then I'm completely happy with that, because I think that I have no reservations or any kind of regrets on this record whatsoever. So if it all ends tomorrow and the world's gone, I'm fine with that, man. I can sleep well every night.
I think we made the definitive My Chemical Romance record with this. We always had this in us, and it was it shot out. You know what I mean? And I'm so fucking happy.
Potty mouth today.
Right?
Jeez. That's good though.
Well, your fans obviously are supporting this album. We love this album. Thank you so much for sitting down with andPOP. For andPOP TV, I'm Amy Sheriff. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.